Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Hi there, it's Thursday, so it is Racing Post Football Postcast Day. A warm welcome along to this week's show. Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, James Milton and Paddy Power's Jason Murphy have got all the best bets for the Premier League, the FA Cup first round and right across Europe. We will start though, before we get into the weekend matches, with the 6 questions, 2 each, and then the chaps get to answer the one they wish they'd been asked. Mark Langdon, you can go first. Quite simple, what is your main takeout from, is it match week 5 of the Champions League? 4.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I would say you've got to look probably, if Juventus are to be considered among the the major challengers. I've thought this before the season started, really, the goalkeeping position, and Chesney came up short really when even for the Mata goal he's taken a step the wrong way. I'm not sure he would have got to it.
Did they throw him with the dummy run though? Or shouldn't he be buying that?
No, I don't think he should be buying that. And then the second one's just blatantly his fault. So Juventus have spent a lot of money obviously upgrading their attack with Cristiano Ronaldo, and that was a stunning goal laid onto him by Bonucci, another summer signing. So they've got a lot of what they need in place, but the goalkeeping position, one that they've had locked down for however many years with Buffon, you just wonder if Chesney's good enough to win them a Champions League. That
Ronaldo goal, there's probably 3 or 4 times a year I don't quite get out of my seat, because I don't think anyone gets out of the seat, but you sort of make that noise, go, whoa, whoa! And that was one of those. I mean, sometimes when they're coming behind you, you get, even if they burst the net, they're off the shin, but that was clean off the top of the boot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was past De Gea before he even had sort of a chance to sort of get his feet in place. But the ball from Bonucci as well, is absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, that was no fluke. He's done a couple of those before.
Yeah,
and absolutely lovely.
It was great work, and you felt like Juve were comfortably in control for 85 minutes, but United, showed a lot of spirit, I suppose. But yeah, it was just you'd want, if you're backing Juve at sort of pretty short prices, I just wonder about the goalkeeper. I'm not sure he's in quite the same league as a ter Stegen or De Gea or Black.
Should have taken Fabianski instead.
Maybe they're coming on pole. Yeah.
What about Manone? Is he still playing? James, this Wayne Rooney business. So basically, England playing USA next week, and some moron has had the idea of giving Wayne Rooney a cap to give him a farewell. I mean, what's your view? Are you that detached from caring about international football that you just smile wryly, or does it outrage you?
It's a fairly sickening prospect, I must admit. But there's a lot of other things in the world that probably deserve your ire more. But yeah, I mean, I think particularly the way that Gareth Southgate's gone about his business. It got so stale, hadn't it? And he's not been afraid to bring in the younger players, and that's been really refreshing. So yeah, it feels like
surely he should have shut this down. I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised Rooney himself is even up for it. He should be too embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously with the USA connection as well. There's obviously a nice little commercial sweetener somewhere along the line. But yeah, it's just seems pretty pointless, doesn't it?
Pathetic. Okay, Jason, FA Cup first round weekend. 2 questions for you here. One, do you personally price up FA Cup first round ties, or do you have a kind of lower league nerd who focuses on the Haringey boroughs of this world?
Yeah, no, we wouldn't specialise in the first round fixtures for it. Again, when it comes to any cup competition as well, even with the FA Cup, I know the magic of the cup, but some of those lower league teams, I wonder if they do prioritise league games as well when it comes to it. So it's very hard to price up. So we tend not to specialise in pricing it specifically in the first round.
So who does it? You have someone doing it, or is it a team effort like anything else you do?
We've plenty on the football staff here, and if there's lads that might not specifically price up football matches, but if they have an opinion on the team and they voice it within the team, we take that into consideration and would look to go one side or the other on the market on it.
Okay, well listen, with that in mind, give us maybe your idea, either yourself or a kind of committee view on where there might be an FA Cup shock in this first round.
I'll be honest, I'm only back from holidays and I haven't looked ahead to the FA Cup for this weekend.
That's all right. Where'd you go for your holidays then?
The missus, she's a school teacher, so we were looking at going away for the son, but the price of flights is ridiculous. I didn't realise until I went looking, so we stayed in Ireland. Luckily enough though, because we were talking about going to Venice at one stage.
Oh, you wouldn't have fancied that, would you? Underwater, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Incredible. Right then.
My own love is Macclesfield. They're away to Maidstone. Look, they've had a shocking run in the league this year. But when I went over to Manchester as a young lad to watch United play, we stayed with an uncle of mine in Macclesfield, so they're kind of close to the heart. Maybe the cup, might be a distraction from the league. Like I said, some teams might concentrate on the league, whereas others it might take the pressure off. But maybe Macclesfield, their odds against away to Maidstone might be a bit. I
hear Macclesfield's quite a nice town. Do you go out and have a few beers when you're staying there?
No, I was only about 12 at the time, so...
Oh, right, no, you can't do that. Okay. I didn't expect that question to take all those different directions. Mark, we've talked about one silly idea, the Wayne Rooney cap. The European Super League, this is much more serious, isn't it? We don't want this, do we?
No, I don't think we do. You say you don't want it, but then I guarantee that if PSG are playing Arsenal on a Saturday night, you probably would tune in and watch it. So, but it can't be allowed to happen, no, because I love the Champions League. Absolutely, writing about it, speaking about it, watching it, absorbing all the content for it. But you like it sort of as the sort of side dish.
The icing on the cake.
Yeah, it is, and I don't know why you would want to take away. Just your bread and butter really of we had icing on the cake and bread and butter.
We had.
Yeah, it's just it just wouldn't be right. I mean, the idea of no promotion and relegation, this closed shop, the fact that all of the best players, ultimately would end up playing there because the TV rights for everything else would just be so miserable that they wouldn't, it wouldn't be worth it. You'd ruin international football at the same time because FIFA have already said that they ban players from playing in it. So hopefully it's an absolute non-starter. I feel like it could be a negotiating tactic from these sort of really powerful clubs to just keep UEFA in check, to show who's the boss. And last time they went to UEFA, they managed to get more Champions League spots for teams in the Bundesliga in Italy. So we've got now 4 of all of the big sort of nations, and it actually makes for a better group stage, I think. But the next power play I see is them going and maybe looking to play Champions League games of a weekend. I think that is definitely, you can see that on a Saturday night, Arsenal against PSG, and then on a Wednesday, Man United v Burnley. TV companies would go for it, I think, because the rights are there. I think that in terms of where the clubs want to be, I think that is going to be their next bargaining one.
Well, I mean, the European Super League's been talked about since, before you two were born, and it's never got there. There's always been opposition. No one fancies it except the clubs themselves. So hopefully, as you say...
The thing is, I suppose it depends how many clubs eventually get on board. I mean, you can see, like the NFL... It is the biggest sporting brand around, and you can see the clubs wanting to move in that direction where they maybe share all the merchandise.
I'm sure they do, but it's not what the customer wants, is it?
Well, but who is the customer? That is the
armchair fan.
Yeah, but I feel like the armchair fan maybe is moving towards that way. I think it's the loyal sort of stadium going fan that is most at risk here, and they're the ones that need to stand up and make sure it doesn't happen. I think the armchair fan...
Safely stand up.
Well, yeah. I think the armchair fan is interested in watching Bayern Munich versus Barcelona on a Saturday night.
Yeah, but we see it on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. It's lovely. I actually think, look, if you want to do something, get rid of the Carabao Cup. But I think that the relationship between the big domestic leagues and the Champions League right now has been perfect since they switched the current format. I really do.
Me too. But I think the Premier League maybe sees it differently to, say, some of the other leagues where Bayern Munich are looking around thinking, well, who are we playing most weeks? And the same maybe for Juventus, so that therein becomes the problem.
This week's 6 questions was very much sponsored by Twitter Outrage Limited. Raheem Sterling, James, what did you make of that incident?
It is a kind of a genuinely bizarre. You mentioned Ronaldo's goal as one of those things that you go, wow, and seeing that you are just kind of shaking your head. But I mean, I would like him to, rather than kind of standing up and looking a bit sheepish, I would have really liked him to go and say to the ref, look, just don't.
Did Robbie Fowler do it?
He did against.
He sort of made that.
He did against Arsenal. Yeah.
Yes,
and then they scored the rebounds. So.
Yeah, but I think he, looking at it, almost like he thought he might do it for a second, but then the moment passed, didn't it?
Yeah, I think he seemed kind of as confused as anyone else by the incident, but. No, it would have been lovely to see.
Against that?
Sorry, Bruce. I was going to say, have there been times this season where maybe he feels like he should have had a penalty, and if he'd been fouled, would the defender say, "Oh, actually, I did foul him"?
This is the question, isn't it? If a defender knows he's hacked someone down and not got the ball, is he supposed to start owning up?
It's exactly the same with handballs. So, like, if say Kemal Roof knocked one in with his hand the other day, and that was seen as a disgrace, and yet Sol Bamba tips one over the post as a defender, and people say, "Oh, that should have been a penalty," rather than he's cheating there. He's tipped one over the bar.
And yet, the one area where footballers do self-police where they shouldn't is injuries. They'll put the ball out. Let the referee decide when play stops. I would go absolutely ballistic if I was a manager. I know they're doing it in a kind of bit of comradeship with their fellow pro, but I'm not having that. Right, there's none of these fripperies for your next question, Jason. I want an anti-post bet from you, please. My anti-post garden is withering badly, so I need to put a new plant in there that's going to bear some fruit. What have you got for me?
Yeah, it's one I've tipped up before just to stay running with the Champions League, and it's Atletico Madrid. There's 14-1 out there. We're ducking them slightly at 12s. Again, just the final is being played in their home stadium. Diego Simeone's record in knockout competitions is second to none.
Talk to me about that 4-0 defeat in Borussia, because that worries me.
Yeah, well, look, you can always get results like that thrown in, and they corrected it there the other night, beating Dortmund 2-0 as well. My only concern is Diego Costa isn't firing the way we thought he was going to fire. And if you go back to just the start of the season, the UEFA Super Cup final, he scored 2 goals there, absolutely busted against Real Madrid, but the goals have just dried up since. But I think throughout the rest of the team, they're solid out. All Black, at one stage there a week or two ago, he had more clean sheets than goals conceded in over 125 games. Like, that tells you how solid they are. That's an unbelievable statistic. So I think Atletico Madrid, when the Champions League draw is done and we see who gets out of groups, there's no one going to want to draw them. As simple as that. And I think over 2-legged affairs, they can go all the way to the final. If Liverpool could get to the final last year, there's no reason why Atletico can't. And like I said, with it being in their home stadium, I think that just counts for a little bit as well when you're pricing them up.
Jason, do you think the Spanish League is Barcelona's and that will basically let Real Madrid and Atletico focus on the Champions League, or is it way too early for that? Do you still think La Liga's quite competitive?
Yeah, it's the most competitive La Liga we've seen in years. If you even look at the table, the likes of Alaves, they're joint third at the moment with 20 points. But if you look at expected goals, they picked up 15 points where they didn't actually win the matches on expected goals. It's absolutely bonkers. Barcelona should... they should, at the end of the day, I think they should win the league. But like I say, it's not cut and dry yet. There's still a bit to go. There's, anyone could lose to anyone on any given week. And Barcelona, I still think they have issues at the back. Messi actually, the arm break probably isn't the worst. Like, he's got a bit of a rest. He should be fresher now. They get a break at Christmas as well. So Barcelona, even the Champions League outright, might be worth a look also. But La Liga, it's very interesting to keep an eye on, and it's hard to judge week to week who's going to be who.
Absolutely. Mark, what do you want to take?
I'll take the Rooney one. I'm just not sure what we're celebrating with this return. I know Sneijder and Robben had it for the Dutch and Podolski for Germany, but Podolski won the World Cup, and I think he represents more than just football, really. With his roots and sort of just bringing Germans together. The Dutch team reached the final, and Sneijder was the best player in the world when they reached the final. I mean, Rooney, he had a great Euro 2004. He was sent off in 2006 World Cup. They didn't qualify for Euro 2008. 2010, he slagged off the fans for travelling to South Africa for booing them after Algeria. In 2012, he was injured and then went on the lash to Las Vegas before Euro 2012. 2014, they were out after 2 matches. And in 2016, he was this sort of self-designated quarterback for the defeat against Iceland. So
hashtag glittering.
I mean, he's the record goal scorer, but I think that's just a consequence of how long he was there and the fact of the way international football was going. Lukaku's the record goal scorer for Belgium. I mean, they're all...
Would he have been the record goal scorer if the Nations League had been operating throughout his career and they were all much tougher?
No, I don't. I mean, Harry Kane's won more like golden boots than sort. And I know that was against weaker opposition as well. But
Kane could miss out on the record because of this.
Yeah, but when Gareth Southgate sort of took over, he got rid of this kind of star person. Beckham had it, and then it sort of went on to Rooney. He just got rid of that. It was all about the team. And now I know it's only for one game only, but we're kind of celebrating something that it's sort of all that he stands against, I think.
I couldn't agree more. Gareth, take a long, hard look at yourself, mate.
I mean, it's for charities, but I mean, I said before, like if charity's the be all and end all, and it's all about raising money, then you can have Jamie Feetson in goal, we get Ralph Little at left back, Prince Harry on the wing. Like where does that stop? So.
Baked beans or something. International friendly.
That's a good alternative. James, which one are you going to take?
The Super League, I think.
Only because Arsenal would finish bottom of
that was it. Yeah, we'd be the kind of Huddersfield of the league, just kind of desperately trying to grind out
the Cleveland Browns.
But I think you touched upon it earlier, but I think the whole idea of the closed shop is really kind of anathema to what makes sport great. You look at obviously Leicester, the obvious example of in the Premier League, but also I remember writing a League Two season preview, and Bournemouth was starting on kind of minus however many points, and you look at them, the way they played against United last weekend. It's not proper fairy tales because obviously there's a lot of investment, but it's if you do have the right investment and the right management of a club, then you should be able to rise through the divisions. And I think it's a pretty sad idea, really.
I hear you, Jason. Which question are you going to answer?
I'll just follow up on the Wayne Rooney one. We have a similar incident going on here with Ireland. Glen Whelan, he's had over 80 caps for Ireland. Look, he was a great servant for the country, but even when he was in the team and the kind of football that Trapattoni was playing, Glen Whelan was obviously, was the poster boy for targeting, for like the likes of Eamon Dunphy, the analysis in Ireland giving out about the style of football Ireland were playing. Now, Wayne Rooney is England's highest ever goal scorer, and England at least seem to know what they're about. Like, they've got a great result in Spain. Gareth Southgate knows what he's doing with his team. Like, Ireland need to figure out what they're doing. Like, we can't be giving up caps, whether it's 45 minutes, a half hour, to say goodbye to players who have served us well when we have a big game against Denmark coming up also. I just think the UEFA Nations League has been a big plus for international football, and these kind of things just go to show how bad the international friendlies really were. If you want to honour a player, I think you should just have a separate game altogether and call it what it is. Call it the Wayne Rooney testimonial or the Glen Whelan farewell, and get whoever you want playing in it. But don't be using up these opportunities when there's games like Martin O'Neill's job is on the line. Like, if Ireland go and get spanked by Denmark, the only reason I think he's still in the job is that the draw for the group stages is taking place in Dublin, and the Irish administration, the FAI, do not want that draw taking place in Dublin without a manager there to represent the country. So I think it's a nice gesture, but no, it's not the time to be doing these kind of things.
No. Jason, who should be managing Ireland?
Personally, I thought Mick McCarthy was very unlucky with the whole Roy Keane thing. Like, we had a brilliant World Cup with Mick. So if he is available, I'd have no issue with him coming back. Also, I thought Brian Kerr was very unlucky the time he lost it. A couple of late goals cost him in qualification campaigns. He'd actually had a very good record, very knowledgeable. But there's also Stephen Kenny, he's manager of Dundalk, and the big credit that Dundalk are actually getting. They're unlucky not to get to the Champions League group stages there a couple of seasons ago, but they actually play football. Where the issue here in Ireland, we always feel that we put ourselves down, that we don't have the players to play possession football, whereas Dundalk have gone and proven that on the European club scene. So Stephen Kenny, he's won another League and Cup double with Dundalk just last week, so I think he could be an outside shot as well.
Interesting. Okay, let's look at our first live game of the weekend. It takes place at 12:30 on Saturday. It's Cardiff versus Brighton. And Jason, how did Paddy Power bet on this?
Yeah, so we've Cardiff 13-8, the draw 2-1, and Brighton 2-1.
So it's a difficult test, this, James, to kick the weekend off with. You can start. Who do you fancy?
It is. I'm edging towards Brighton. Probably draw no better.
Have you used an actual ink pen for those notes?
I did use a fountain pen.
What's it? You've got a fountain pen?
Yeah, I find it quite relaxing. Easier on the wrist. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry.
We're doing a golf postcast with Steve Palmer. Don't play that.
Yeah, don't take that out of context. Where was
We were talking about
Brighton draw no
Brighton.
bet. Let's get back to the serious business. I mean, Cardiff obviously had that win against Fulham, but I mean, Fulham's defending, as we've all seen, has been pretty shambolic. And actually, Cardiff's only points this season have been against teams in the bottom four. They had a couple of 0-0s against Newcastle and Huddersfield as well. I think Newcastle missed a late penalty in that as well. So I think Brighton are a step up, particularly defensively. Lost at Everton last time out, but they had 3 1-0s in a row before then. And I don't see them losing this game. And I think they make a bit of a peel draw no bet.
Who's that?
Brighton.
Brighton draw no bet for James. Mark?
Yeah, I was looking at the draw, but it's pretty short. So I mean, I'd probably go for the Brighton draw no bet angle as well. Just from a pro-Brighton point of view, I mean, they've only lost the top half team so far this season, and even last year they were very good in sort of the games in their kind of company, if you like, and. I'm not mad on them away from home. I think Chris Hughton could do a little bit more away from home. They are negative, but I just don't see where the Cardiff goals are going to come from. And it wouldn't even be that much of a surprise if it was no goal scorer copped in this one. But if there was to be a win, I think Brighton have got a little bit more progressive.
Okay, Jason, 2 votes for Brighton on the draw no bet. What are you going to go for?
Yeah, I wouldn't argue against the boys on that. I think it will be a low-scoring game. Cardiff have failed to score in 6 games this season, and I think that lack of scoring is what will cost them when it comes to relegation. Like, they drew 0-0 with Huddersfield and Newcastle. Those are 6-pointers, where if you have that striker who can get you a goal and win those games, that's what makes a difference, and that's why I wouldn't be that worried still about Fulham at this stage of the season. And Brighton obviously have Glen Murray there with 6 goals already. Brighton, they had 3 1-0 wins as well prior to losing to Everton, and both Chris Hughton and Glen Murray said after the game, look, they just weren't at it for that one. So I think Brighton are the better team, but their away record is still poor. If you go back to the start of last season, they've played 25 games away in the league, and they've only taken 12 points out of a possible 75. So given that it's looking like a low scoring game, I think the draw at 2-1 or bigger, if you can get it, is a bet. Because it's televised, I'll give you a couple of goal scorers. So don't back to any times, because we're not going to see many goals. Don't back to each way. Just look at the first goal scorers. And I think earlier in the season, I think I seen Leroy Sané was winning headers in that Cardiff backline. So have a look at the 2 giants, Duffy and Louis Dunk. They're 25-1 each to score the first goal. Duffy is joint top goal scorer there with 2 goals this season, and because it's televised, everyone will price up to score a header. Louis Dunk, 10 of his last 12 goals have been headers as well. So just have a look at those 2 boys maybe in the first goal scorer market.
Okay, and if you are new to the Postcast, you've got to believe Jason Murphy is the first scorer king, so they are well worth backing. Okay, thank you, chaps. We will look at the 3 p.m. Saturday games next.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Hi there, welcome back. We're going to rattle through the 3 p.m. non-televised Premier League games. I'll read the odds out and then the boys will tell us what's going to happen. We'll start with Huddersfield versus West Ham. Paddy Power bet 12-5 Huddersfield. It's 21-10 the draw, and it's 5-4 West Ham. Lango, what will happen there?
West Ham to win. Huddersfield still worried about the amount of goals that they're going to score, and I think West Ham, when Arnautovic is fully fit, or at least fit as he was against Burnley, they're a completely different animal. I think they're playing quite well at the moment.
Milts?
I'm going for the draw, actually. I think Huddersfield's win against Fulham will have done them the power of good. They drew at home to Cardiff and unlucky to lose to Palace, and they've only been beaten by big guns at home. So I think it's still a tough fixture for West Ham.
And Jason?
I'm going to side with Mark there. Huddersfield only scored 5 goals in their last 11 league games, and prior to letting in 2 against Burnley last week, West Ham only conceded 6 goals and 7 in the league. That included playing Spurs and Chelsea. And an obvious threat going forward, Anderson, Arnautovic as well. So I think a West Ham win.
Okay, Leicester are 4-9 to beat Burnley, who are 13-2, 16-5 the draw. Mark?
I'm going to go for the draw. I mean, Leicester's players got so up for that game against Cardiff last week. Just wonder if there'll be a little come down. Obviously going to be a very emotional day at the King Power. The players have been to Thailand this week as well for the funeral. So, I wouldn't want to be backing them at 2s on, that's for sure.
Okay, so you're going for the draw?
Yeah, I don't like Burnley at all, really.
How about James?
Over 2.5 for me. I think Burnley started out with a 0-0 at Southampton on the opening weekend, but since then their 10 games have featured 37 goals. And I think there should be goals in this one as well.
Okay, and Jason?
Yeah, I'm going to side with Leicester. I think, you know, when something like that happens to a club, it can have kind of a galvanising effect on the team. I know they travel to Thailand, but, you know, you can get a one-way flight there now. You don't need to stop for the petrol. So I'm sure they were flying first class. And I think Leicester have scored in every game this season as well, whereas Burnley, 13 goals conceded in their last 3 games. Okay, 22 shots they gave up to Man City, 24 they gave up to Chelsea, but they gave up 24 shots to West Ham as well. So I just see Leicester scoring in this game, and I think they will win it.
OK, Newcastle 7-4 to beat Bournemouth. Bournemouth at 8-5, and it's 9-4 the draw. Mark?
I think Bournemouth are quite a bit better than Newcastle. They're really unlucky against Manchester United. Newcastle very fortunate against Watford. Watford missed a number of chances in that game, and they've also got injury doubts over Lascelles and Shelvey. 2 very important players. So I mean, we're speaking before we know the fitness, but I mean, without knowing that, I'll go Bournemouth.
Milts?
Yeah, Bournemouth for me. I mean, last 2 away games they won 4-0 at Watford, 3-0 at Fulham, and as Mark said, very, very impressive against United last weekend as well. So I think they've got too much attacking quality for Newcastle.
Do you agree, Jason?
100%. Newcastle, look, they brought in Rondon. He was meant to be the guy to score the goals. They thought if they gave him better service than he was getting at West Brom that he would, but it just hasn't happened. Obviously, injury didn't help, but I'm not going to be fooled by that win they had against Watford last week. Like, Watford should have won that game, hands down. Bournemouth are 6th in the table on merit. Wilson's got 6 goals, but look, Bournemouth to win. And I think King has been struggling with an ankle injury, and David Brooks, he kind of played centrally behind Wilson there last week. He's already got 3 goals this season, and twice he's clicked as first goal scorer as well against Palace and Watford. So I think David Brooks is worth a bet there for first goal. You get him at 10-1 out there.
What do they pay for him, Mark?
It was about 10 million, wasn't it?
Why don't clubs do that more? Buy not proven, but hungry young players from the Championship and lower divisions. That's what they used to do. I look at some of those blokes who were involved in that rabble of a Fulham team on Monday. The amount they cost, I just thought why don't people just try and buy the David Brookses of this world? Very good indeed. So the Racing Postcast fruit machine has come up with 3 cherries there. Southampton take on Watford, and it's 7-5 a home win, 2-1 Watford, 21-10 the draw. Mark?
Couldn't back Southampton. I was toying with Watford, but I think I'm going to go for the draw. Southampton only 1 goal in the last 6 Premier League games. That was a penalty, but they've drawn at home to Brighton, Burnley, Newcastle, and they were about to draw with Leicester with 10 men until they scored right at the end. So I'll go for the draw.
James?
I'm going for Watford. I think it could be a good day for away teams. I feel like I've been opposing Southampton at home for about 3 years, and they just don't seem to be developing at all.
OK, and Jason?
Yeah, Southampton was over before it started against Man City last week, so I'll be definitely going for Watford. They've already won away at Burnley and Wolves, and they lost to Arsenal but bet them unexpected goals when they went there. Southampton, if you go back to before that Newcastle game, they were actually 5th in the table for most shots, 124 shots, whereas Spurs and Liverpool had 126 shots. But the conversion rate was only 4.8%, where the top teams is about 12%, and it just proved in that Newcastle game they just can't finish up top. I think Watford definitely worth a bet to win it. And just have a look at Mark Hughes there. He's about 2-1 maybe, 2-1, 11-4 with us though to be next to be sacked. I just think if Watford were to go and win this game 2 or 3-0, I think he's going to be under a bit of pressure with that international break. But obviously Jokanovic, rightly so, is fab there at the moment. Yeah,
it's interesting. We're due one, aren't we? We're getting deep into November and no one's gone yet. Right then, the 5:30 TV game, BT Sport, Selhurst Park, Palace Tottenham. Tottenham Favs. Jason, what's the latest betting?
Yeah, so Crystal Palace 7-2, the draw 11-4, and Spurs 8-11.
And we'll stick with you, Jason. Who will win?
I've kind of flip-flopped on this one looking at it. I think Palace always give the top 6 sides a really good game at home. If you look at the last 7 games they had against the top 6, okay, they've drawn 2 and lost 5, but just go back to last season, they lost to Liverpool, Man United and Spurs just by the 1 goal, and all those goals came the last 10 minutes. They drew at home with City last season, they drew at home with Arsenal this season as well, and also that Monday night game at home to Liverpool, it was a penalty for Liverpool. I think Palace had hit the bar before that, so I think they do put in good performances at Selhurst Park against top 6 teams. Tottenham, I think the fixture list is bound to catch up with them. Did a big win obviously, and it was good for confidence against PSV during the week, and they had Eriksen Ali back as well. And it was quite an attacking lineup. They started Son and Luka Morris Lucas Moura in there as well also. So I think Lamela then, for that reason, is going to start, and he's already got 4 goals and 7 this season already. And he's been unlucky with injury since he came to Spurs, but they signed him as a young lad, and before he came over he had 15 goals in 33 appearances the season before in Serie A with Roma. Like, he is a very good player, so I'd be looking at him for maybe first goal scorer. But as far as a bet goes, I think if Tottenham there to win by 1 goal at 11-4, or else it's going to be a tight game. You could go half-time, full-time, draw half-time, Tottenham to win full-time at 7-2.
Okay, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham are a very strange team, really, because there's a lot of negativity around them, but they've won 8 of their 9 matches against teams that are not sort of the big 2 in this season in the Premier League. I'm concerned about them in midfield for this game. I mean, because Winks and Sissoko got outdone really once, because Dembele's injured, Dyer's injured, Wanyama's injured. But Palace do lose all of they lose most of these games that Jason was talking about. So I think the Spurs to win by 1 goal is a decent shout. It copped. I mentioned it last week when it copped against Wolves, and they're just doing enough. Spurs. I will throw a first goal scorer in there though, because Davinson Sanchez has to score soon. I mean, he's just been on the end of everything for Spurs. It's just not going in. I was having a look at his expected goals. I mean, he's above Son and Eriksen this season for Premier League expected goals. Was about an inch away from scoring against PSV as well on Tuesday, getting first contacts on all of Eriksen's set pieces.
I look forward to the double whammy on Saturday night of Sanchez scoring the last minute, so we lose the game. And then I remember that you tipped him up, and I haven't backed him. Milts?
Yeah, both teams to score. It's a solid bet in this one, I think. As the guys have mentioned, Palace do tend to make their mark in these kind of games without quite getting the positive results. But Spurs haven't been defending well, particularly in Europe. And then 3-2 at Wolves last weekend. And Palace obviously drew 2-2 with Arsenal, scored at Stamford Bridge last time out. So yeah, I think both teams to score for me.
Okay, a Super Sunday, 4 Premier League games. We'll look at those next.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.
Welcome back, Bruce Millington, Mark Langdon, James Milton and Paddy Powers. Jason Murphy looking ahead to 4 not live games. One of them isn't, but 3 of them are on Sunday in the Premier League. We will start with the 12 o'clock game at Anfield. It's Liverpool versus Fulham. And I guess, Jason, Liverpool are the shortest price favourites in the Premier League all weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. Liverpool 1-12, the draw 10-1, and if you fancy Fulham, you can get 25s.
Okay, I don't fancy Fulham, but I'll be keen to see what the lads think. James Milton?
I mean, I was looking at that 25s and just trying to kind of make a case, given that, there was excitement about Fulham at the start of the season because they did have players who could score goals. And, you've seen Liverpool shocked at Red Star in midweek at odds of 1-5, I think. Defensively, pretty dodgy at Arsenal last weekend. But you just come back to that Fulham defence and Liverpool have been pretty ruthless still at Anfield against the weaker sides this season. Put 4 past Cardiff, 3 past Southampton, 4 against West Ham. So it's not one to be chunking on Liverpool at 10s on or whatever. But I like the look of Van Dijk, maybe first scorer.
Yeah,
had some great chances at Arsenal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how he didn't score there. And Fulham just can't defend from open play or from set pieces. So I think he'll get chances.
Van Dijk each way or all up to win?
I think 22's first scorer, but if Liverpool score a hatful, I think he's about 6-1 any time. So
as the first scorer king, Jason will tell you, if you expect goals in a game, you bet each way, don't you, Jason?
100%, and that's actually, I was going to tip off Van Dijk. Like, he should have had a hat-trick last week, and because it's such a one-sided game as well, Liverpool are going to be pressurising Fulham. You're going to get free kicks, corners, loads of opportunities for Van Dijk to get up in that box, and there is 13-2 any time out there on him.
Interesting. Mark?
I was looking at Liverpool to be leading at the 30-minute mark. If you exclude the EFL Cup game against Chelsea when it wasn't Liverpool's strongest team, 7 home matches, 6 of those they've been up before the half-hour mark, and that includes against some decent teams, and Fulham are not one of those. I don't see how Fulham keep Liverpool at bay for half an hour. Probably
what price
not even.
Is that?
It's 5-6, I believe.
And I've never had a bet on that. What do I look for on the?
There's a market. Well, there's plenty of bookmakers do it. There's a market to be leading at 30 minutes. So they do like 15-30 half time. It's for Fulham. It wasn't only they lost to Huddersfield 1-0. It was when they were getting caught offside late on in that game. Mitrovic and Schürrle just not even bothering to come back onside. That was damning in my opinion.
I thought there was a distinct lack of effort there. That really did look quite scary. And I'll tell you what, I was saying to producer Adam, the only man for the job is Big Sam. They're a talented team. I think he'd get them out of trouble.
Yeah, we're actually offering next permanent Fulham manager. We have David Moyes in there at Fav at 7-2. Sam Allardyce 6-1 there. Like I said earlier, I think Fulham going forward they'll score goals to keep them up. So if you got Big Sam in defensively, he might do a job. Ranieri 7-1. Chris Coleman to come back 7-1. Michael O'Neill, the Northern Ireland manager, 9-1. Steve Bruce 9-1, and Brendan Rodgers there at 10s. I just think Fulham defensively, just on that right hand side, especially whether it's Chambers, Cyrus Christie, they're just a disaster waiting to happen, and the likes of Salah, Mane will expose them down that side. They gave up 22 attempts against Cardiff, so God only knows what they'll give up against Liverpool. But like I say, if Watford don't win at Southampton, or if Southampton get a result the day before, Mark Hughes might be alright for the international break, so I'd fill your boots there 8-11 for Jokanovic to be sacked then.
I'll tell you what though, I think you could Dutch the front two in that market at 2-1. That wouldn't be value. Wouldn't be bad value, that, Moyes or Big Sam. OK, let's look at the 2:15 game. It's Chelsea versus Everton, live on Sky Sports. Jason, how do you bet?
Yeah, so we've Chelsea a bit short at 4-11, 7-2 to draw, and 13-2 Everton.
I haven't seen any prices for this weekend yet, and when Jason said 4-11 Chelsea, I thought, oh, that sounds a bit on the short side. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go for both teams to score. Everton wasn't overly impressed with what they did at Old Trafford, really, when United looked vulnerable in that game, and that they didn't. They never really looked like they were going to win the game, but they did score, and they've only failed to score once this season. That was against Arsenal when they actually won the expected goals, and they did miss chances on that day. So I think they can score against a Chelsea team. Only one home clean sheet in the Premier League. I was just looking at Chelsea because people are sort of talking them up for the Premier League. They've had an easy run of fixtures so far. I mean, away from home, the teams they've played have been in 13th, 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th. So they've not played anybody where they're going off 10-11 or 8-11, like those kind of clutch away matches that we've seen City and Liverpool already come through. So I think that's your issue in terms of them winning the Premier League. They've obviously got. Don't you think, though, Mark, that there's quite a marked difference between them and Liverpool in the betting? I mean, should they be slightly closer? Well, I mean, Liverpool have been to Tottenham, to Arsenal and to Chelsea. So, I mean, their kind of form stacks up more. Although they've only won 3 of their last 9 matches, I think it is, in all competitions now. So you could make a case for saying Chelsea will get better as the season goes on. Morata scoring goals, Hazard's back fit again. I was a bit surprised how strong the squad is that they've taken to Bate Borisov. So I wouldn't be backing Chelsea at 4-11. Both teams to score.
James?
Yeah, I think Chelsea win and both teams to score squeezes out a bit more value from the home side. Mark's mentioned both teams scored in 5 of Chelsea's 6 home games. I think this should be another open contest. Everton, apart from that Arsenal game, they have scored in every away game, and they had plenty of chances, particularly first half at Arsenal. And they've won 4 of their last 5. So, both teams pretty confident going forward. Still got my doubts over Everton's defence.
Chelsea and both teams to score for James Milton. Jason Murphy, what do you like here?
Yeah, I think Everton probably deserve just a little bit more respect. I think they're starting to gel. The front 4 that they have now with Bernard, Richarlison up top, Sigurdsson behind and Walcott on the other wing, I think is quite dangerous going forward. Chelsea, they do travel to Belarus. It's not mad. They don't need to get a win over there or anything like it. But again, it is travelling and it is an early kick-off on Sunday. So I think Everton and the draw is worth a bet at 2-1. If you're looking for a goal scorer, Richarlison's got 6 and 9. He's probably a bet at 10-1. But I quite like Sigurdsson. There's 14s out there on him. He'll be on penalties and free kicks, and he's already got 5 in 11 in the league as well. But I just think Everton's form, if you look at the last 5 matches, they'd actually be second in the table. Now, having said that, they've only bet the likes of Brighton, Leicester, Palace, and Palace obviously missed a penalty at 0-0, and Fulham in that run. But I still just think Everton are moving along in the right direction, and that price on Chelsea just seems a bit short.
Do you think Everton will finish 7th, Jason?
I think Wolves have lost the last 3, so that's a bit of a test for them. I just kind of have the 2 of them kind of jostling it out, and I think then there's a slight gap then to the next. I think Watford and Bournemouth have done very well this season also, but I just think when it comes to 7th, I think it's between Everton and Wolves, and it's a toss-up.
OK, game of the weekend is the Manchester derby at the Etihad. Man City hosting Man United, and after Jason tells us the betting, Mark Langdon will tell us why this is a historical match in terms of Manchester United and betting. Jason?
I don't want to say it, but Man City 4-11, draw 4-1, and Man United 7-1.
Why is that historic, Mark?
Well, it's the biggest price that United have ever been for a Premier League game. I actually, at one stage, wondered if it was the biggest price they'd just ever been. And then we went through the database, and they were actually double-figure odds when Moyes' United went to Bayern Munich in the Champions League a few years ago. So not the biggest price they've ever been, but I think we're saying the biggest price for a Premier League game, given how football used to be, the betting on tax and stuff like that. I think we can safely say it's the biggest price they've ever been.
Honestly, if you look at a coupon from like the early 90s or whatever, you wouldn't get, like, so Fulham are 25 to 1 at Liverpool. They'd have been 7s or 8s. They never went bigger than that.
No,
they never did, because the bookmakers, you couldn't smash up a single and you had to pay tax, so it wasn't worth it.
Exactly. So, I mean, this is the biggest price that Manchester United have ever been for a game.
Okay, Mark, what happened? Will they defy those odds?
No, I'm not sure that they will, because I think you have just got to look at them as Team A and forget that they're called Manchester United. And I think if you do that, Manchester City are probably deserving of that. They're the best team in Europe. But I was looking at maybe Man City to win and both teams to score, because even though City have only conceded 4 Premier League goals this season, United have scored twice at Chelsea. They have scored a couple of goals at Juventus. You can argue with sort of, how on earth did they do that, given they had so little of the ball and so little of the chances. But I think with Martial and Sanchez, if Lukaku's not fit, and maybe Rashford off the bench, they have got players that can do sort of something, even if it's only for 10, 15 minutes. So I think they'll win. If you're looking for bigger prices, maybe Man City 3-1. But let's not forget, they won at the Etihad last season and spoiled the title party.
They certainly did. Man City's goal difference in the last few games is 26-4, 1 against. Yeah. Unbelievable, eh, James?
It is. I was looking at their league record, actually. They play 6.
A load of rubbish.
Well, I hesitate to call them flat track bullies, because it's very pleasing on the eye. But they've played all the bottom 6, scoring 27 goals. And I think their other 5 matches have all been under 2.5. So
you might be on something here then.
Yeah, so if you are, although having said that, I mean, United probably defend like a bottom 6 team, but they are somehow getting positive results. I'm not quite sure how they're doing it, but I'm actually inclined to go for the kind of lay of City. I'm just at the prices, around sort of 12 to 5 or something, United or draw double chance. I don't think they're going to get hammered. I mean, Mark mentioned last season they won at the Etihad. The last 3 seasons, they've all been tight games between these two, and it's more of a hunch than anything else. But
so it's the United draw double chance.
Yeah, small lay of City. Yeah.
Jason, you gassed for this one?
Yeah, like Mark said, if United are Team A, just consider Man City to be Team B and just appreciate the football that they're playing and forget that it is actually Man City playing it. They're phenomenal this season. Their numbers are off the charts, like you've said. But what I really like looking at Man City is if they've scored 33 goals in the league this season, and if you look at 15-minute periods starting from 0 to 15, 15 to 30 through each match, it's actually consistent throughout. So the first 15 minutes, 15% of their goals. The next 15 minutes, it's 15% of the goals. Then 18% for the next 15. It's just like that from 0 to 90. Their goals are spread out over the 90 minutes. It's just relentless, constant pressure that they're putting on teams. So I think Man City, given that their first goal, they average it after 21 minutes, I think they're going to be ahead by half-time. They've been ahead at half-time in 8 of their 11 matches, whereas if you look at United, they've been losing at half-time in 5 of 11 of their matches. Only Brighton, Fulham and Huddersfield have a worse record than United when it comes to losing at half-time this season. So therefore, to try and get a bit of value out of this and just accept City are the team that they are, I'd be going Man City half-time, full-time, even money.
What do you think, Jason, the reaction would have been if the game against Juve had finished 30 seconds before the free kick that led to the equaliser? I mean, they were getting pretty comprehensively outplayed, weren't they?
Yeah, I kind of switched off after Ronaldo's goal, and luckily I switched back on just in time for the free kick. Unbelievable strike again from Ronaldo. Look, United have performed better. I think it's just hard to know. Like, when they open up and they have to go and play to get a result, they're very good going forward, and you can't put those players, the likes of Martial, Sanchez, Rashford, on the pitch and not actually create chances when you have the ball and you go at teams.
So should he be going at teams then?
Yeah, but it goes against whatever Mourinho, the way he approaches these. Like, he just, when it comes to playing top six or teams he challenges against for the title, he likes to go away from home. If he nicks a 1-0, happy days. If it finishes a draw, he'll take that and rely on beating that team at home. But unfortunately, what's happening with Mourinho and his style of football is defensively this season, United have just been very, very poor. They've only conceded, I think, 24 26 goals in the whole of last season. Already they've conceded 18 goals this season. They're just not keeping clean sheets like they used to. Where's the fault for that? He hasn't got a consistent centre-back pairing. I don't think Matic has been as good as what he should be. You're still playing Ashley Young as a full-back as well. There are issues, and De Gea was in very poor form on the back of the World Cup at the start of the season, whereas he has been papering over a lot of the cracks. I think he's been Man United's Player of the Year for the last 4 seasons, which tells a lot about a team that supposedly is meant to be attacking going forward.
Imagine United, if they hadn't signed De Gea, it'd be absolutely disastrous.
This is it. It'd be, and the only thing I will say as a United fan, it's a new experience. Like that result last night, or winning these games from behind, it's kind of what Liverpool fans would have went through for the last 20 years, and you're getting a new appreciation of football. You'd actually, when we do get a win, you appreciate it, as opposed to when United were going out and just beating the likes of Bournemouth week in, week out. You just take it as a given, but there's a bit of satisfaction in getting in the results, which is nice. But having said that, we'd like to get back to where we were too.
Absolutely.
Just quickly, Martin Keown at one stage last night said he wondered if it was Manchester United's greatest ever European result.
I heard that, yeah.
I think, no, Martin, it's definitely not. It's a group stage
comeback in the Champions League.
I mean, it was absolutely remarkable.
Imagine if he'd been commentating with Clive Tilsley. Clive Tilsley would have put him straight, wouldn't he, about that famous night in Barcelona? Crumbs, he wouldn't have made that mistake.
I mean, it's not even their greatest ever result in Turin. Do you remember they were 2-0 down? And Roy Keane got booked and was out the farming. It was just bonkers.
That was mad. 4:30, not on TV, but a very good game, I would expect. It's Arsenal versus Wolves. Paddy Power go 8-15 Arsenal, 9-2 Wolves, 16-5 the draw. Jason, do you fancy anything here?
I'd wish this game was on at a different time, because I'd really love to watch it. I was a bit harsh on Arsenal this season, but I was really impressed with how they played against Liverpool last week. I thought they had a real go at them. And Arsenal, there's a bit of steel there. Torreira coming in, I think, has been a big help this season too. He wasn't ready to go after the World Cup. But Arsenal, they've got the most points from losing positions this season. That's 8 points they pulled back. And they have not led a half-time in any match, interestingly enough as well. So they've the most goals of any team in the league in the second half, and their subs have been involved in 10 of those goals. 6 goals, they've scored 4 assists. So that says, okay, they've a squad there, they've attacking options to come off the bench, but it's also the sign of a good manager, I think, who can change things up at half-time, change things up in the second half. So on the back of that performance last week, like, they've gone on a good winning run there. And it'd be interesting to see now. This will be a right test for them at home against Wolves, to see if this is genuine, what they're putting up. And Wolves as well, I'd like to see how they're going to bounce back. They've lost 3 on the bounce now. I didn't look into it, but I don't think Nuno would have lost 3 games in a row yet as Wolves manager, given how dominant they were in the Championship last season. Going into the last international break, it was all rosy for Wolves. They'd just beaten Palace 1-0 away from home. Sorry, Bruce, but yeah, I think so.
They weren't that impressive in that game, I've got to say. They were very functional, but they,
they're got the results. They know what they're about. They play a very difficult formation that's very hard to defend against as well. It's kind of unusual. So I'd love to watch this game and see how it pans out. So to be honest, I think looking at the prices, I think Arsenal are still a bit short. So I'd be going Wolves in the draw at 11-8. If you're looking for a goal scorer bet, Lacazette and Aubameyang, when they're in the same team, Lacazette plays up top, Aubameyang is pushed out wide on the left. Therefore, Lacazette should be more central, getting most of the chances. 17 of his 23 goals for Arsenal have been scored at home. He likes his home comforts as well. There's one bookmaker though out there that has Lacazette 9-2, Aubameyang 10-3 for first goal scorer, and I nearly think that's the wrong way around. Lacazette should be favoured in the market, so I'd have a look at him for first goal.
Okay, Mark.
I think Wolves are a little bit overpriced here. I know that Arsenal played well against Liverpool last week, but Liverpool's still at the woodwork twice in the first half, and I'm not sure about them defensively. Wolves are going to go in at a big price this season somewhere. They've already drawn with both Manchester clubs. They won't be scared of going to the Emirates. I think they're a bit overpriced.
Just a neat bet on Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather back them to win, than Arsenal.
Have you got the season ticket for this one, Milts?
No, I'm in the office for this one, but yeah, sadly, it would be nice to see it on TV. I think it's going to be a very intriguing game. Probably not one for big bets. Maybe 2-1 Arsenal and the correct score. I think Wolves scored against both Manchester clubs. Obviously, scored twice in the defeat to Tottenham last time out, and Arsenal, 5 of their 7 games have come with both 7 wins. Sorry, have come with both teams scoring. I'm a little bit more confident now about Arsenal being able to win these kind of fixtures. Although, as Jason mentioned, it would be lovely to see them actually do something in the first half of matches.
Indeed. Okay, chaps, thank you very much. Before we get the naps, anything else we should be backing, either lower down the Football League pyramid or right across Europe? Don't give your naps away, but if there's anything you're interested in, Mark, speak up now.
On the shortlist this week, I've got Birmingham to beat Hull, Coventry away at Walsall in the FA Cup, and I was looking at Aldershot against Bradford in the FA Cup as well. Just had a look though, it looks like Aldershot got a few injuries, including one of the players who's he's injured his foot after dropping a glass of Ribena on it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so he's out.
That gets the old panel back out, doesn't it? For
Dave Besant,
Salad Cream. Yeah. I can't even think of any others.
The Spanish goalkeeper.
The aftershave.
Yeah,
I think it was. Yeah,
I was actually asking you for other bets, not other football injuries, but that was a good one.
Nottingham Forest at home to Stoke. I like Forest, really hard to beat, and they've got a proven goal scorer in Lewis Grabban. Beaten Middlesbrough, beat leaders Sheffield United last weekend, and Stoke still short of ideas going forward.
Okay, and Jason, anything else that's not your nap?
Reluctant to give out any tips after last weekend. Like, both power prices clicked on the Saturday. The punters had an absolute feast last weekend.
Come on, put some bullets into our rifle.
If you're looking for one of the Championship, one of the boys is quite sweet on Bristol City at home to Preston. If you tip over to La Liga, Eibar are away to Valladolid. Valladolid, that's the one that Ronaldo has bought into, but their expected goals versus their results, they're getting better results than they should be, whereas Eibar is the opposite. They're actually performing better than results show. So I think Eibar at 12-5 are a bet there. I
thought you said they were playing David Luiz. They're playing Valladolid, yeah?
Yeah, my Spanish won't be the best now, but that's the way I pronounce
Jolly
it.
Jolly good.
So yeah, Eibar there at 12-5. They did lose to Celta Vigo 4-0 there 2 weeks ago, and I think there was an overreaction. Aspas scored a hat-trick in that game, but there were 3 absolute worldies. Eibar were actually the better team, and then they got a good win against high-flying Alaves there, 2-1 there last week. So I just think Eibar are worth a bet at that price.
Let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
I am going to go for Watford at 11-10, draw no bet at Southampton. What are you going to go for, James?
Leeds to win at West Brom in the televised Championship game.
Why?
West Brom have lost 3 of their last 4. They got thumped at home by Derby. And Leeds seems to be playing really well, picking up good results away from home, averaging just under 2 goals a game on the road. And they've done really well to be where they are because they have plenty of injuries, but they've got most of those players back, and no stopping them.
I saw a fantastic clip in the week of I can't remember who Leeds were playing, but it was a one-on-one, and then you just saw these white shirts coming back, swarming back and flooding him. They're really working hard, aren't they? Mark, what's your nap?
It's West Ham to beat Huddersfield. I think West Ham have had probably the hardest run of any team in terms of fixtures. The first time they were dropped in class, first time they played a team below them in the table last week, they beat Burnley. It was much easier than 4-2 suggests, with Arnautovic and Felipe Anderson and Diangara as well. Is a real talent on the right wing. I think that they've got more than enough to get the win against Huddersfield, and let's not forget they nearly beat Leicester in a game that's obviously been forgotten for pretty obvious reasons, but they were down to 10 men in that game, played really well. So I think they're definitely heading in the right direction.
Where do they finish?
I think top half, maybe 10th.
Jason, your nap?
Yeah, I can't argue with anything that the boys you've tipped up there. I'd be sweeting all of them, and I suppose I'll just go with Bournemouth for the nap. You could have picked any of those Premier League teams that you've mentioned, but Bournemouth, just for reasons outlined earlier, I'm just not convinced by Newcastle. Watford, without having to be brilliant, created plenty of chances against them last week, and I think Bournemouth are 6th in the table on merit, and I'd expect them to go to Newcastle and get a win. Fantastic, thank you very much indeed, chaps. What's the weekend plans, Milts?
I've got no idea. I'm taking each day as it comes.
Okay. Is that a new philosophy, or you just can't be asked to line anything up?
It's just been one of those weeks, really.
Okay. Mark, where are you this weekend?
No, I'm working on Saturday, just at home, because there's no team in focus, there's no assists next week, so didn't need to go.
How was Charlton last week, by the way?
Charlton fully deserved their 2-0 victory against Doncaster, who were pretty poor, actually.
And how did you greet Johnny Jackson after the game?
No, I messaged him. He was he was furious that I didn't go for a beer with him and said we must go next time. He was pretty pleased with the 2-0 victory and felt that they just needed to add a bit of consistency to their game, and then they went out and beat Walsall as well on the Tuesday. So I think they should be in and around the top 6. No doubt.
Do you hug it
that.
out with Johnny, or do you go for a handshake?
No, I mean I haven't seen him for a while. I mean it'd be a handshake, it wouldn't be a hug. No, it's not that. No, I don't hug anybody. I don't think. Really. No, not really.
Hopefully Carly.
Well, my daughter, she gets the odd hug. And then on Sunday, I'm Talksport Towers for the Trans-Europe Express.
You old hipster. Jason, what have you got lined up for the weekend? Anything nice?
Really looking forward to those matches on Sunday, but they're keeping the good books as well. I think I might be tipping along to the cinema. I don't like going to the cinema unless it's a film that's worth seeing on the big screen with the speakers. So seeing that Bradley Cooper Lady Gaga one a couple of weeks ago, and Cooper.
I didn't think you ever went to the cinema, Mark.
Mate, I've been to Benidorm and Seville in October on various trips, and I thought I need to do something, so that was what I did.
Good film?
It is.
Yeah, I recommend it to Jason.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I seen that, and I thought Bradley Cooper's band, especially just the music on the speakers, was quality. So I've heard a lot of good things about Bohemian Rhapsody. So yeah, probably tip along and see that.
Well, last Sunday, my wife said to me, right, we're going to cinema tonight. We're going to go and see that Queen film, and absolutely no way. So wife and daughter went to that. I've had a massive touch because wife is at yoga retreat all weekend, so I will be watching tons and tons of football. Thank you very much for all the wisdom.
With Kevin Pauline's wife, is she?
She loves a bit of yoga.
Kevin Pauline's wife's on like a
She's in India doing yoga for about a month.
Yeah, she is, yeah.
So I should expect his tips are even better than normal, all that study time he's got. Have a lovely weekend, chaps. Thank you very much indeed for all your wisdom. Good luck to everyone with your bets this weekend. Hope you managed to get a few winners, and we are back next Thursday with another Racing Post football postcast.
Introducing Paddy Power's Beat the Drop. We're giving every customer 30 days free entry and £1,000 up front. It's up to you to keep it. All you have to do is answer 10 questions correctly. Play now at beatthedrop.paddypower.com.